Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do part 2 of this case where we're going to put everything inside of it. Thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. More about them a bit later. Today we're going to put the innards into our case. So this Kate Flies case is intended for me to be able to do YouTube recordings and live transmissions from remote locations or through the Zoom calls where I have multiple inputs. All of this runs through the ATEM. So today we're going to put the rest of the things together and turn it on and see how well this all works and how well it works out. I can tell you I have used this case a lot when I was traveling to Johannesburg recently, and we are going to be using this case when we go to the US later this year. We had another case, as I said in the previous video, a much bigger case, was very heavy, that weighed about 18 kilograms, and I needed something a lot lighter for this trip to make my life a little bit easier, and I came up with this case. This case is around 9 to 10 kgs, which is a lot lighter, and it has helped me hugely with my travels. So let's get onto this. I needed to change a part on the inside. So firstly, the power supply. This power supply exploded inside the case, scaring the daylights out of me, pushing smoke out of the fan. And that's the reason why I have the fan on here, is because this power supply used to get quite hot. But this died on me, so I switched back to all the power supplies for each one of the modules that I have inside here. And let me show you that. So I've 3D printed this little case here, which holds all of my power supplies. I will show you how I connect all the power shortly. And all of this holds all of the power supplies nice and neatly. I had, when I went up to Joburg, we had these power supplies loosely lying in the bottom, and one of them turned the switch off onto the Behringer. So when I plugged everything in, the Behringer didn't work, which freaked me out. It was a scary moment, because now all of a sudden the Behringer is not working, and I thought something was wrong with it, but luckily it was just because one of these power supplies hit against the switch while we were traveling, and it caused it to switch off. So I made this in Fusion 360, just modeled it up. I put holes in the side here, firstly to lighten it, makes it 120 or 130 grams lighter than it was, and also to allow airflow through it. So if I do turn the fan on, it'll fan across all the power supplies and dissipate heat. So without further ado, let's get this going. I need to get a Behringer in here, and I need to get my ATEM. I need to get my switch in there, and of course the HDMI receiver. Real absolute blast. I love this thing. I love how this works. Firstly, let's get on to the power supplies and how we connect the power up. So what I've done, the original way which I did the connections, and I know I'm going to get backlash from this on the internet, is using these chocolate block connectors, and it works well. So I'm going to connect it up to this small one here, and just to show you the way I did it before. And all you do is you bolt the lug on. You bolt the lug on like this, okay, with the chocolate connector, and that works well. Okay, that works really well, but I wanted something a little bit neater and a little bit better. So what I came up with, these connectors here, these are just push-in lugs. Okay, so we have those lugs there. That is just a round lug, and that actually connects up to my electrical socket really well. If I just push those on, it's a nice, safe connection. It doesn't come loose. It's a nice tight connection, and it's a safe connection. So there we go. Those are there. And then I'm going to finally put these ones on here like that. So that's 2 more of those lugs. And then these ones here are spade lugs. Okay. And those go onto this connector. Now this one here is to power it's just a USB plug that has a USB Type-C connector to it. And this is to power the monitor. So I use spade lugs for that, like such. And there we have it. We have all our power connectors onto here. Now, the power connectors need to all go into a common power rail. And for that, I use these connectors. These connectors work exceptionally well. They really work very cleanly and neatly, and they make a good connection, and they're a safe connection. They don't come loose. I've had zero issues with them, so I use these. So I'm going to quickly just wire this all up. I'm going to fast forward through that, and then we'll reconnect once those are connected. Okay, there we have it. All our power is connected up. I've neatened it up a little bit over here with a little bit of cable management. And this one here is an extra one for this power supply. I'm going to run that from the main power that comes in. So these will splice off onto the main power as well. This will connect up to the switch that we'll put on a little bit later. This is our main power input, and this will power up our whole system in one shot. Let's add this to the case. Now we'll need to remove the front section here to put our main board in, but let me quickly do that, and I'll get that out the way. I've removed the front cover so that we can slide in our other panel, and let's get everything in here. So the first thing I want to put in is my Behringer. My Behringer, as I said, lies loose. It does get secured down by our plate here. Okay, so I'm just going to clean out the wires here a little bit. Let's get that out the way. And the next step for me to do is I'm going to put my my power supply board in here, and I will just quickly screw that down. So give me a minute to do that. With my power supply board screwed into place, we can now move on to our next step, which is just to put the top cover on here. So I've got this was laser cut. A couple of mistakes in here. One of them was this piece that I cut into here. This piece here was for a switch. It's for one of these switches, which is a 220 volt to 110 volt, but all of these power supplies are auto switching, so I don't need this anymore. So I'll 3D print something to cover that gap up. But now I'm just going to slide this in. Next thing is to wire up our switch. Now I did a cutout here for the switch, and it fits into that little slot over there. I will just quickly wire that up. I forgot to put this part in. Now what I've done is I've got one of these screws for the base of this. This amounts to a tripod if you need it, or to a hot shoe. So it's got one of these screw mechanisms. I just drill the hole through, and I'm going to mount this vertically inside here. So I'm just going to put that in quickly. It's out of the way then. Well, that was unfortunate. I had a power failure halfway through finishing this video, so if my camera angle has changed ever so slightly, I apologize for that, but I am going to continue with this. I think I lost a few seconds of footage. I had put the power plug in here, so that just connects up everything to power. So I'm ready to go to the next section, which would be to wire up the ATEM. So I'm going to plug in all the parts. All the power is running through this connector here. This will then power the Behringer, which will power all of these power supplies, and that will give us power to each of our components. So let me finish this up here now. Let me go and find all my power cables, each one of them. Right, well, the next part I want to put in is the D-Link. So I'm going to put this in, and that is just going to lie around. I might do a 3D printed part for this, but at the moment this is just going to go on the right hand side here, out of the way, left hand side of the box, out of the way. And what I have is I have two shortened cables. So I made up these two shorter cables. One goes to the Behringer, and the other one goes to the ATEM. So I'm just going to wire this through. That's that one. And then I've also got the three that go to the outside of the case. So these three will plug into our D-Link as well, like such. All right, I'll get that across there, and we'll connect up the power to it. That'll give us the power to that. So that's the D-Link sorted out. How am I going to do this? There we go. Ooh, that's nice. Actually, it holds nicely in place inside there, and it's all done. These are my audio cables, and these are my HDMIs. So I'm going to fit the ATEM. Right, so to do that, I know that the blue is my output, my white is my mic 1, and my yellow is my mic 2, like that. And then all of these, I've got these 90-degree angles on the HDMI cables, which makes it a lot easier for it to rest inside. Now I've got all of them marked 1 to 4, so I'm going to be going 1 there, and then number 2, and number 3, and finally number 4. I'm going to connect up my network. So my network is there. Then finally my power. And that can go out of the way down the back there. There's enough space around the back there for that to go. Go out the way there. And there we have it. That's it. Now I've got these little 3D printed parts that I can now screw onto here. But let me actually close up the front first. Let's put the front back on. I've now got my front cover back on. That needed a little bit of persuasion to get it back in. But yeah, that is back in now, nice and tight. Everything is looking good. Okay, now that we've got all of that back on, the front panels back on, I've got these little parts that are 3D printed. I modeled and I 3D printed here. We're just going to screw those in. So for now, I use self-tappers. I might change this because it does tend to be a little bit of a janky connection. But I might put a nut and bolt on there. But other than that, actually, it's not too bad. Just got to find the right corners. There, that goes there. There we go. There's my screw. And that holds the Blackmagic ATEM in place nicely. Sorry, that must go to this side. That one there. Those 4 corners hold the ATEM in place nicely. And now all we got to do is fit the screen. Okay, I've got a little bit of a confession. I forgot to put my 3D printed parts. These 3D printed parts hold the screen in place. I forgot to slide these in. They've got a nice little T-nut. So I'm going to quickly do that modification. It shouldn't take me too long. I'm just going to take 2 of the railings out. I'll quickly do that and we'll slot these in, and then that will be that part finished. Before I do that, let me put on this part here. This is the part that holds the lid open. Again, I found this on the old case, made it work for this case, and it works like an absolute charm. Let me fit this quickly and then we'll carry on. I've got the vertical part over here to hold the screen up now, so that holds the lid up quite nicely. I'm now going to just go and take these 2 parts off and fit these parts here to hold the monitor in place. So let me quickly fit that in and then I'll explain why and how it works. I now have these parts in here which are to hold the screen in place. They're just a simple 3D print that goes into the T-slot and then can get tightened up, and it holds the corners over here. This side doesn't really need to be held. It's firmly against there and it is all good, like such. Then I'm going to move this over, that all the way to the top. We slot that in there. Like that. Bring that down to hold at the top there, bring this down to hold the side, and then this one holds on that side. We tighten up the T-nuts. And that holds the screen nicely in place. Careful not to scratch the screen. Right, that'll now hold the screen in place. We've got our HDMI cables, which are just loosely let hanging down here, and then we'll go into the case. What I'm going to quickly do is take the ATEM out quickly, plug these back in, and then we can do a test run. So give me a second to do that and then we'll get back to it. Well, there we have it. The monitor is now wired in. Everything is connected. All of my ports are connected, and all is left now is this part here. That goes on there like that, just to neaten up those edges and make everything look nicer. Added this part here. I want to 3D print another part for you here a little bit later. I tried that, but it failed a few times, so we'll look into that and make that better. Let's get some power and see what happens. Right, so I've plugged it in here. Let's turn it on and see what happens. The ATEM turns on, the Behringer turns on, the monitor turns on, and away we go. We are ready. So, guys, this is my my case. Before I say goodbye, I'd like to just have a word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by PCBWay. If you're into electronics and PCB projects, PCBWay is the place to go. They offer high-quality PCB prototyping and assembly services. But that's not all. PCBWay also provides precise CNC machining services. And for those innovative 3D printing projects, their 3D printing services have got you covered too. Fast turnaround time, excellent customer support, and all at an affordable price. Check them out at PCBWay.com and take your projects to the next level. Yes, PCBWay is a fantastic sponsor of this channel, and yeah, I'm excited to have them looking after my channel and sponsoring my channel. Go have a look at the link in the description below, and you get an extra 5% off your first order. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was educational. I hope it helped you, and I hope it inspired you to look into building your own case for whatever it is. Anything that you need to move around and plug in and have as a mobile network or a mobile interface, this works like an absolute charm. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Stay well, stay safe.